Today, we are opening up the consultant's playbook. I'm going to arm you with a really powerful, structured way of looking at your business through a completely new lens. A lens that helps you uncover hidden costs and unlock some massive gains in productivity. Look, this isn't just theory. This is about a systematic way to supercharge your efficiency. All right, let's dive right in.
So this is the big challenge, isn't it? In pretty much every industry, the days of just passing your own inefficiencies onto the customer, well, they're over. The only way to win, to really grow that bottom line, is to get smarter, leaner, and way more effective on the inside. It's not about working harder, it's about ruthlessly getting rid of the work that creates zero value. So how do we do that? How do we systematically find and just destroy that waste?
Here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture, then introduce to 3 classic wastes. It's a perfect, mutually exclusive framework. From there, we'll do a deep dive into the 7 most common types of waste. And this is crucial. We'll then uncover their root causes, before we wrap up with some practical tools you can start using tomorrow, and of course, the final critical takeaway.
Okay, so to get started, we need a complete framework. And the Japanese system of lean thinking gives us a brilliant one, known as the 3 M's. I want you to think of these as the 3 main buckets that can capture every single possible form of waste in your operations. They are muda, muri, and mura. And to really master efficiency, you have to understand how all 3 of them play together.
First up is muda. Now, this is the one most people think of when they hear the word waste. It's any activity that uses your time, your money, or your materials, but adds absolutely zero value from your customer's perspective. It's the most visible symptom of a process that's not working right. It's the stuff you can literally see and point to. But, as we're about to find out, muda is very often just a symptom of much deeper problems.
Next, we've got muri, which means overburden. This is the waste you create by pushing your people and your machines way beyond their natural limits. It's asking a developer to juggle 6 projects at once, or running a machine 24/7 with no time for maintenance. This kind of overburden, it inevitably leads to burnout, breakdowns, and you guessed it, muda in the form of defects and waiting around. And finally, there's mura, or unevenness. Now this is the sneaky one, the one that often causes the other 2. Imagine a restaurant kitchen. For an hour, it's totally dead. The next hour, a tour bus pulls up. The workflow is just pure chaos. That's mura. This unevenness creates muri. The cooks are now completely overburdened. And that leads to muda. Orders are late, dishes have mistakes, food gets wasted. This stop-start chaotic flow is the true enemy of a smooth, efficient operation.
All right, so we've got our high-level framework of the 3 M's. Now let's get our diagnostic tools out. We're going to double-click on that first M, muda, and break it down into its 7 distinct types. I want you to think of these as the 7 key symptoms of waste you can start spotting in your own organization, maybe even today.
And here they are, a complete, collectively exhaustive list of operational waste: transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, and defects. You'll recognize some of these right away. Others are a bit more subtle, but trust me, they are all silent killers of productivity. So let's break them down one by one.
Let's kick things off with what many experts call the most dangerous waste of all: overproduction. This is making something before it's actually needed, and it's almost always driven by that just-in-case kind of thinking. What's the problem with that? Well, you've tied up your capital in unsold goods, you've used up raw materials, taken up valuable floor space, and you're risking the product becoming obsolete. You spent real resources making something that just isn't creating any value right now.
And right on the heels of overproduction is inventory waste. This includes all that excess raw material, work in progress, and finished goods. Now here's what's so interesting about this. Every single item that's just sitting on a shelf is cash that isn't working for you. But even worse, that inventory acts like deep water in a river. It hides all the sharp rocks underneath, all the other problems in your process. It masks defects, it masks supplier issues, it masks bottlenecks, and it stops you from ever fixing them.
This next one, waiting, is just uniquely painful because you are literally paying for nothing to happen. It's an operator just watching a machine cycle. It's a whole team waiting for an approval to come through. It's an entire production line that's stopped because of one missing part. Every second of that idle time is a pure, unrecoverable loss. It's just payroll dollars vanishing into thin air.
Defects might be the most obvious kind of waste. A product with an error doesn't just fail to deliver value, it actively subtracts value. Right? It disappoints a customer, and then it kicks off this whole secondary process of non-value-added work: inspections, returns, repairs, scrap. So here's the crucial point. Your best people are now busy fixing yesterday's problems instead of creating tomorrow's value. Okay, let's clarify two types of movement waste, because they can sound similar. The first is motion. This is all about unnecessary movement within a single workspace. Just imagine a surgeon who's constantly reaching for poorly placed instruments, or a barista walking back and forth between the coffee machine and the milk fridge. Every single extra step is like a small tax on efficiency that just adds up over thousands of repetitions.
Overprocessing is that subtle waste of doing more work than the customer actually needs or is willing to pay for. It's painting the inside of a machine that no one is ever going to see. It's adding 10 new software features that nobody is ever going to use. It's polishing a part to a mirror finish when, you know what, a simple sanded finish is all that's required. You're burning through effort and resources that create zero additional value in your customer's eyes.
And our final muda is transportation. So, if motion was movement within a process, transportation is movement between processes or locations. Think about parts being moved from a warehouse to the factory floor, or a document being routed between 5 different departments for approvals. Each one of those moves adds no value, only cost, delay, and the risk of damage or loss. A perfectly designed process would minimize these handoffs almost completely.
Okay, so we've just diagnosed the 7 key symptoms of waste, the 7 mudas. We have identified the what, but a great consultant never ever stops there. They relentlessly ask why. To find the cure, we have to move beyond the symptoms and start uncovering the underlying disease. And that brings us right back to Moody and Mura. You know, this quote perfectly captures the power of tackling Muri, or overburden. When you relentlessly push your team and your equipment, you don't just risk burnout, you actively create waste. An overworked employee makes more mistakes, well, that's defects. A machine that's pushed past its limits breaks down. That's waiting. So resolving Muri isn't just a cost, it's a direct investment in your bottom line.
And this slide just brilliantly illustrates the whole causal chain. Look at the flow here. Mura, that unevenness in demand, creates the need for your system to hurry up and then just wait. This causes Muri as you have to overburden your team to catch up during those peaks. And then all that stress and strain directly results in the 7 mudas, defects, waiting, overproduction to try to buffer against the next crisis. So if you really want to eliminate the visible waste of muda, you have to first smooth out the workflow and create a balanced, sustainable pace. Attack Mura and Muri first. Now this is all fantastic in theory, right? But how do you actually start finding this waste in the real world? Let's get practical. I'm going to give you a simple toolkit, a few sample checklists that you can adapt to start hunting for waste in your own processes, literally, today.
Let's start with transportation. Just take a second to read these statements. Now ask yourself honestly, are parts being moved multiple times? Is your work area layout just sort of a historical accident rather than a deliberate design? Go ahead and score each statement, from 9 for always down to 1 for never. A high score doesn't mean you're failing. It means you just found a huge opportunity for improvement.
Okay, now for inventory. Just look at these questions for a second. That second one, that is particularly telling. If finding one bad part means you have a whole batch at risk, guess what? You've got an inventory problem. If your setup times are really long, your system is forcing you to make big batches, which creates inventory waste. This evaluation helps you see all those invisible costs of just holding on to stock.
And finally, let's look at motion. I want you to think about your own workday as you read these. How many times today did you have to walk somewhere to get a tool, or find a piece of information, or ask a question? Every single one of those trips is wasted motion. If your people are constantly on the move instead of actually performing their core tasks, you've just found a goldmine for simple, high-impact process improvements.
So, we've gone from the 30,000-foot view of the 3Ms, we went deep into the trenches with the 7 mudas, we've uncovered the root causes, and now we've equipped you with a practical toolkit. So what's the ultimate point of all this? The crucial takeaway is that you now have a new, powerful lens to see your entire operation.
Because eliminating waste isn't just about cutting costs. It's really a holistic strategy for excellence. When you reduce unnecessary motion and defects, your quality inevitably improves. When you get rid of waiting, your productivity just skyrockets. When you streamline processes, your efficiency climbs. And every single one of these improvements flows directly and immediately to your bottom line, enhancing profitability in a way that just trying to sell more never can.
And that leaves us with one last provocative thought. You see, inside every organization, there is a hidden factory. It's a shadow operation that produces absolutely nothing but scrap, delays, rework, and frustration.
It consumes your most valuable resources, your people's time and energy, but it creates absolutely no value. After this explainer, your challenge is this. Go find it. Where is the hidden factory in your daily work?